Fragrance collectors and connoisseurs, this may not be the video for you. This is about 10 fragrances that are, in my opinion, and also in my collection, the most versatile, most easy to wear, fragrances that could be a signature scent, or one fragrance. If it was the only one you had, all of these would work. I think you get the point. Stay tuned. What's going on, everybody? My name is Joshua and this is our channel, ScentSense. To all my loyal subscribers who stand tall with me and continue to watch my videos each and every day when they are released, I thank you so much. And to all you new people who are maybe unsure about the channel, haven't decided if you want to stick around, it's not hard. You click the little red word that says subscribe and you watch a few videos. And yeah, real easy. I think you'll like it. Just try it out. Just spitballing. Today we'll be talking about 10 fragrances in no specific order that I think are signature scent worthy. In layman's terms, that means each and every one of these fragrances could be a fragrance that you could own. It'd be your only fragrance or your main fragrance that you wear most often due to its versatility, its scent nature, and just overall mass appealing quality. Often people will think the word mass appealing is bad, especially when it comes to fragrances, especially in the fragrance community. But at the end of the day, you really want to smell good. You want everyone to think you smell good. That's mass appealing. Starting off the list is a fragrance that I used to wear a lot when I first got into the fragrance game, mainly because it's super easy. If you walked by a Hollister or an Abercrombie, you've smelled this scent. No, it's not Abercrombie Fierce. It smells a lot like Abercrombie Fierce, just a little more mature. The fragrance we're talking about is Mont Blanc's Legend. Mont Blanc Legend is a very great fragrance when it comes to younger people. This is going to be the kind of fragrance you're going to wear for a younger crowd. I think it works up into your mid to late 30s, but I think this is more suitable for somebody in their early 20s. If you're a high school kid and you're looking for your first fragrance, this would be an easy grab. Go ahead and get it on FragranceNet or maybe from a other gray market website. Don't buy it at full retail. This can be had for around 30 bucks. This is a great introductory fragrance, a great signature fragrance. At number 10, Mont Blanc's Legend. At number 9 is a fragrance that still has a slight peppery, slight woodsy nature, but is a little more mature, maybe a little more well-rounded, something that would be more for an older guy, somewhere in his late 20s, early 30s, maybe into his 40s. The fragrance we're talking about is Mr. Burberry by Burberry. Mr. Burberry was Burberry's answer to what many call the blue craze. This was their attempt to do what Dylan Blue, Sauvage, and many others did. I think it's great. I think it's a really good option when it comes to that. This is probably just a little more mature, and I think that's the reason why it didn't do as well as the others, mainly because this one's more for an older crowd. If you're more into like the Bleu de Chanel kind of vibe, this would definitely work for you in a much cheaper price. Coming in number 9, Mr. Burberry by Burberry. At number 8, we're gonna stick with that same kind of trend. I kind of already mentioned it. This is a very mature and a much better quality fragrance. This is something that a lot of people hyped up. I actually bought a bottle. Not the hugest fan of it, mainly because I feel like it's underwhelming when it comes to what the EDT and the EDP did. I also think the longevity and the projection on it are much weaker than it should be. Coming in at number 8 is Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Bleu de Chanel Parfum is gonna be the one that you'd wear to the office. This is the one you're gonna wear when you're probably more dressed up than dressed down. This is something that would be better suited for somebody who spends a lot of time in the office. I do think that it can work in any other situation. I just think it's more geared to an older, more sophisticated crowd. I think that's what this does. I think that the originals were a little more on the fresher and fruitier and zestier side. I think this is a little more stronger. I think it almost has like a powdery feel to it. I think if you're looking for something that's versatile and will be an all-around fragrance for an older guy, maybe in his mid to late 30s and earlier 40s, this would definitely be one to go to. And if you're a younger guy and you feel like you're a little more mature than most, this would also be a good option. So coming in at number 8, Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Moving right along to number 7, if you're still in the same vein of wanting to feel slightly sophisticated and smelling modern, but maybe you're a little more youthful and you need something a little more well-rounded, and maybe you spend a lot more time in a warmer climate, a good one to have would be DIOR Homme's Sport. So let's be honest, you thought I was gonna say just DIOR Homme, but I wasn't gonna say just DIOR Homme because I don't really care for that one nearly as much as I do this one, and I'm pretty sure you figured it out when I said hot weather. As you can tell, I've worn this one quite a bit. I know that doesn't seem like a huge dent, but when it comes to owning over 100 fragrances, I do reach for this one often. I love the fact that it doesn't have iris in it. I think iris is not a bad note. I'm starting to warm up to it, but I think in a sport fragrance, it just doesn't belong. This one is fresh. The blood orange is very, very present in this. This just smells very, very clean, fresh, and inviting. This is somebody who's slightly more playful, slightly more youthful, but yet still sophisticated. This is for a guy who's gonna wear a nice white shirt with some blue jeans with a blazer and can rock that and can be the most important guy in the room even though he's subtly dressed. So if you're looking for something that's more sophisticated, maybe more modern, but yet still playful, go ahead and reach for this one right here at number 7, DIOR Homme Sport. Coming in at number 6 is a fragrance that's often compared to Versace's Pour Homme, the one that comes in the clear bottle, that's a blue liquid. This one is a little more sweet, which is present because of the tonka bean. This one is a little probably better blended, maybe a little better quality. I prefer Versace Pour Homme overall, but I think that this one works in a few more occasions and is a little bit more versatile. Anyway, enough rambling. Number 6, ALLURE Homme Sport. Reaching back into the house of Chanel, ALLURE Homme Sport is a very, very fresh, very, very well-rounded fragrance. It's gonna have that tonka bean, which is gonna lend some sweetness. So if you're looking for something that can be worn at nighttime and maybe a little more into the fall or winter months and have a little more presence and a little bit more versatility all around, a good option at a slightly higher price tag than most, you should probably check out ALLURE Homme's Sport. And number 5 is a fragrance that is a flanker of the original predecessor. It's not really a flanker of a flanker, it's a special edition of a flanker, which even though it is a different fragrance. Enough rambling. The fragrance we're talking about is AQUA de Jo Profumo Special. I like to call this the Saints edition because it's got the black and gold, which is one of the main reasons why I bought the bottle. Don't judge me. This has better ingredients and finer ingredients than the regular Profumo version, but all in all, they smell very, very similar. But the difference between the Profumo and this one and the original is that this one is a little more grounded. This one is a lot darker, this is a lot less aquatic, this one has some patchouli in it and some smoky notes in it that's gonna give it a little more of a sophisticated feel and not feel like you smell like everybody in the room. The cool effect of this fragrance that I've experienced is people smell it and they're like, man, that smells really, really good, but it smells familiar. I can't put my finger on it. And then when you tell them what it is, they go, oh, okay, yeah, I did smell the AQUA de Jo in it, but it smells slightly different. No, this is not a carbon copy of AQUA de Jo. This, in my opinion, is an improvement. This has a lot better performance than current formulations of AQUA de Jo. This is more like the older formulations of AQUA de Jo. So this one gives you the performance of the older version with a little more subtlety, a little more sophistication, and a little more oomph, if you will. So coming in the middle of the list at number 5 is AQUA de Jo Profumo Special Blend. Coming in at number 4 is a fragrance that's probably the most overlooked out of all of these fragrances and probably the most underrated out of all of these fragrances. It's probably one of my favorite fragrances, and the reason why I didn't grab it at first, second, or third is basically because I just picked them up as random. It's coming in at number 4 from the house of BVLGARI, AQUA. BVLGARI's AQUA is the originator of the water droplet sensation. As you can see, the bottle rests like this, so it's really crappy when it comes to, you know, displaying it, but it's probably really cool for people who only have one fragrance. You just kind of set it on the counter and it just kind of sits there. It's a really distinct and cool bottle. The sprayer is really weird. It's right here, as you can see. More often than not, this one is overlooked for fragrances such as Aquamarine, Aqua Atlantique, and of course, the ever popular Aqua Amora. In my humble opinion, I think a lot of times the original is usually the best. Everyone always loves the first one. Like clearly, Blade 1 is a whole lot better than Blade Trinity. Let's just be real. And I think that has a lot to do with what this fragrance is about. Gonna get the sea salty vibes of all of the other fragrances, but what you're going to get is that blue, strong, clean, fresh fragrance. But this one is a little different because that sea saltiness gives it a unique presence. Not gonna smell like everybody in the room if you wear this, but you're also gonna smell just as good as everybody else in the room. This is probably the most unique in the aspect of what I'm talking about when it comes to these fragrances, and this is probably one of my favorites out of the bunch. You should definitely check it out if you haven't. You can probably get this for like 30 to 40 bucks on discounters online. Go check it out. If you haven't, get a decant maybe from somebody online or something, but it's worth it in my opinion to just buy the bugger. Go ahead and check out BVLGARI's AQUA. At number 3 is a fragrance that I just recently picked up not too long ago. Had it for just a few months. I actually got some samples of it earlier last year. I talked about it right when it came out. I was really excited about it and I said I was gonna buy a bottle, and I just hadn't pulled the trigger on it because I kind of just, put it on the shelf of which ones I wanted to buy, but then I went and got it and I'm glad I did. This is the older brother, the more sophisticated brother of the original, Coach. The fragrance we're talking about, which I'm sure you caught on by now, is Coach's Platinum. Coach's Platinum has a distinct powdery note that wasn't present in the original. It has a little more oomph to it and it has a little more lasting power. If you've noticed, all the fragrances that I've talked about that aren't the original always seem to have a little more to them. They have a little more life. They have a little more sustenance. You're gonna get the blue craze in this. You're gonna get that Ambroxan-like blue, clean, fresh shower gel vibe, but this one has a little more sophistication to it, but it's not enough to make it an older guy's fragrance. It's something that I still think can be worn by anybody from 18 to 81. I think that this is a great fragrance. Okay, I don't think any papas at nursing homes should be walking around wearing this because they'll probably get a hernia from all these old ladies trying to get in their skins, bro. If you're looking for something that's very well-rounded and you're a younger guy and you want to have something maybe to wear when you want to feel a little more sophisticated but yet can work at other times and other kind of avenues, go ahead and check this one out. If you're looking for something that's just going to work, period, go ahead and check this one out. So guys, go ahead and check out Coach's Platinum. At number 2 is a fragrance that I reviewed just about the same time as I reviewed the last mentioned fragrance. This one is yet again another fragrance that improved upon the very first fragrance, which makes me kind of feel like I should be led to believe that they just released the crappier one first so you can get a taste of what it's supposed to be, and then they'll release the better one later so you're kind of inclined to buy both. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. Fragrance we're talking about is Y by YSL, the EDP version. YSL's Y EDP is a much longer lasting fragrance than the original. The original was great, but man, it would just disappear, it seemed like, in just a couple of hours. The original was also very, very sweet and seemed like it just lended way too much to the sweet side. This one goes a little more towards the fresh side. So this one kind of pulls it back in, kind of reins in the reins, but gives it a little more staying power, gives it more longevity, more sillage, more projection, all of those things that are very, very important to people, especially if this is the only one you're gonna own. So if you smelled the original, or if you haven't smelled the original and you're looking for something that kind of is in the same vein as all of the other Blue Craze fragrances, but kind of has a sweeter side, then this one would definitely work for you. Go ahead and check out my number 2 fragrance, YSL Y's EDP. At number 1 is a fragrance from my favorite house of all time. I know it's a designer house. I know that their fragrances often get discounted and they get dropped in price, but I really don't care because at the end of the day, they always put out fragrances that work. Pour Homme, Oud Noir, Eros, the list goes on and on and on. They just keep putting out great ones. Not a big fan of Eros Flame. At the end of the day, this one is probably their most versatile fragrance, and in my humble opinion, is better than Sauvage and every other fragrance that has that Ambroxan note in it. I think that this is what Sauvage wishes it could be. I don't care if people think I'm wrong, and it's probably much more of a value because you can get it for half, if not 1/3 the price. The fragrance we're talking about at number 1 is Versace's BLEU. As you can see, which I don't know if you can see, I've got about that much left in the bottle. So I've used a lot of the juice in this thing. I really, really love it. It's just It's just a well all-around fragrance, and I don't mind reapplying. Sometimes, I don't know why, but in certain circumstances, it doesn't last nearly as long as I'd like it to, but it does last long enough. I think that this is probably their most well-rounded offering that lends to the same thing that DIOR Sauvage does, that drives people crazy, that people just love. I think that this is what people should reach for if they just don't want to drop all the money it costs for a bottle of DIOR Sauvage, which can range upwards to 100 to 120 bucks for the bigger bottles. I think you can get this on discounters for like 35 bucks. So you can get 3 bottles of this, what you would pay for a Sauvage at retail. Now, yes, at retail, this is probably 80, 90 bucks. But I mean, really, you shouldn't be buying at retail anyway. Go to fragrancenet.com or Max Aroma or Fragrance Buy or any of the other websites you can go to and get it for much cheaper. Listen, if you're looking for something that's just gonna be easy to wear all around, any occasion, anytime, any place, that is just going to work, and you're not going to offend anyone, and you just wanna smell pleasant, and you only wanna own 1 fragrance or 2 or 3, this is probably, in my opinion, the quintessential one to buy. Coming in at number 1, and it is number 1 for me, is Versace's BLEU. Alright everybody, that does it for me. If you're looking for a fragrance that's going to be the one that gets you through all the times that you need to smell good and you really don't feel like having a crap load of fragrances and you need just one, this would be a perfect list for you. And I guarantee if you check these out at your local Macy's or Dillard's or Sephora or Ulta or whatever you have around you, I'm sure that you'll like one of them. And if you do, hey, my job was done. Again, I appreciate that you stopped by. Go ahead and smash that notification bell. That way when my videos come out, the YouTube algorithm that continues to fail will not fail you. And when my videos come out, you will be the first to know. And as always, I'll smell you later. Peace!